Hey, hockey card fans, Hockey Night in Belmont back. Today's the day I completed my 1976-77 O-PEE-CHEE set, the greenbacks, or the dark greenbacks as I like to call them. I only needed 6 cards to complete this set. And before we go through this, let's go through them. First up, I got a guy named Claire Alexander. This is his rookie card and it's his only card. I paid $8 for this off eBay. I couldn't find it at Heroes and Cards and Comics, so I had to pay $8 plus some shipping on eBay for a guy who was one and done in terms of hockey cards. He would play for the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. So he played 155 NHL games and 54 WHA games. Never had another card. And his stats aren't bad for a defenseman. Played 16 games with playoff games with the Leafs, scoring 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points, all of them in the 75-76 season. So this was his best season in terms of the playoffs. When he went to Vancouver, he had like 8 goals, 18 assists for 26 points. That was his best NHL season. And then he had 31 points in 54 games with the Oilers. So he wasn't a great player, but he kept bringing him back up. Next up, we have Dave Tiger Williams, Leafs. This is his rookie card. I paid $15 for this on eBay, plus the shipping. I think I got, and this guy was quite the character. Not an overly big guy at 5'11", 190 pounds when he played, but he had almost 962 NHL games with the Leafs, the Canucks, Red Wings, and Kings and Whalers. 513 points. And he had 3,966 penalty minutes. That's a lot. Added another 35 points in the playoffs. So in 1980, Harold Ballard and Punch Inlack decided to clean house for some God knows why reason. Because this team in the late 70s was actually pretty good with Sittler, McDonald, Williams, Salming, Turnbull, and Palmateer in net. But in the 80s, they traded all these guys away. So Dave Williams and Jerry Butler were traded to Vancouver for Bill Derlago and Rick Vive. Terrible trade on the Canucks' part. But they felt they needed toughness. And in all fairness, Dave Williams did get to a Stanley Cup with the Vancouver Canucks. But they got swept in 4 games by the Islanders. They had no business being there. The Oilers in those days got beat by the LA Kings that year. Williams had 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points, and 116 penalty minutes in 17 games. So he was getting roughly almost 10 penalty minutes a night. Very, very colorful guy. Very tough guy, too. Next up, we get the Toronto Maple Leaf team leaders. So in 75-76, Errol Thompson had 43 goals. Darryl Sittler had 59 assists. Williams had 306 penalty minutes, and then Thompson had 13 power play goals. And then Sittler had 41 goals. So he had a 100-point, I think this is his only 100-point year in the NHL. So they had Errol Thompson, who later went on to the Detroit Red Wings. Sittler, McDonald, and Williams were the 4 big scorers. All right, next up we got the Washington team leaders, 75-76. This was their second season in the NHL, and they did progress. Their first season was the absolute worst in NHL history, with 8 wins, 67 losses, and 5 ties for 21 points. And then in 75-76, they upped it to 11 wins, 59 losses, and 10 ties for 32 points. Washington wouldn't have their first winning season until the 82-83 season when the Washington Canadiens were in town. So anyway, this year Nelson Pyatt had 26 goals, Jerry Meehan had 35 assists, Yvonne Lambrera had 146 penalty minutes, and Tony White had 7 power play goals. So their top 4 goal scorers were Pyatt, White, Meehan, and Monahan. Well, they do better than the Montreal goal scorers these days, but what can you do? So those are the 4 common ones right there. So next up we got Bobby Orr, defenseman, Chicago Blackhawks. Paid $10 for this card. The quality is not that great. There was a choice of 3 cards. This is the middle one. There was another that was like $7, and then one that was $34, which I wasn't paying that price for. So it is in rough shape, the card itself. Now this is an airbrush card because he wasn't with Chicago in 75-76. He was with Boston. And unfortunately, he only played 10 games with Boston. 5 goals, 13 assists for 18 points. Just think if he played the whole year, because the year before he had 135 points. He was one of the leaders, if not the lead. Had 22 penalty minutes, so he wasn't afraid to mix it up. And I like the comment. The comic said Bobby has had 5 operations on his left knee. Christ, his knees were shot by the end of his career. He would only play 20 games with the Blackhawks that year and have 23 points. He would take the whole 77-78 season off, come back in 78-79 and played 6 games, have 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points, then call it a career. His knees couldn't handle it anymore, unfortunately. But he won 2 cups with Boston and Hall of Fame guy, and a pretty good guy. He's even been in a music video by the Dropkick Murphys, going out in style. So it's kind of funny to watch if you ever see that one. Last, this is the big card in the set, Bryan Trottier rookie card. I paid $15 for this one. It's not bad. They had other cards there. One was for $35, and then there was a couple for $11. But this one's not bad. I think there's a little crease here. That's it. But all in all, it's still in decent shape. Corners might be a little soft. So this was his rookie card. He did win 6 Stanley Cups in his career, 4 with the Islanders and 2 with Pittsburgh. Hall of Famer. Once Trottier and Mike Bossy teamed up with Gillies. Awesome line. So as a rookie, he had 32 goals, 63 assists for 95 points. And he won the Calder that year. In the playoffs, he had in 13 games, he had 1 goal and 7 assists for 8 points. So definitely, this was a great season. Overall, he had like 524 goals, 901 assists for 1,425 points in only 1,279 games. So he was a player. 221 playoff games, at another 184 points. So definitely a great player. So the 76 O-PEE-CHEE set, 76-77, the dark greenbacks, is an interesting set. It's got all the classic 70s guys like Dryden, Bernie Perrant, Gary Cheevers. Wild guys like Steve Durbano was in this one. I like how it has the old Atlanta Flames logo. The Pittsburgh Penguins had 2 guys who scored 50 goals. Jean Pronovost and Pierre LaRouche. LaRouche had 53 goals. Pronovost had 52. So I think Pronovost was first. So he was the first Pittsburgh Penguin player to score 50 goals. This is also the year that the Kansas City Scouts moved to Colorado and became the Rockies. This is also the year that the Oakland Seals became the Cleveland Barons. And I love the Cleveland Baron logo. So a couple of teams moved. There it is. There's a better one of the Wolf Paymont in his Kansas City Scouts jersey. They moved to Colorado. Team transferred to Colorado. Too bad. I didn't mind the Scouts jerseys. I thought they were pretty cool. Better than the Rockies jerseys. Oakland Seals, they just couldn't make a go of it in Oakland. And I do like the Cleveland Barons logo. I wish they'd stay stuck around. So there's a couple. So this set is interesting because you have those teams moving. There's Dennis Huron in his Scouts uniform. Record breaker. Daryl Sittler. This is the year he scored 10 points. 6 goals and 4 assists on the Boston Bruins of all things. Boston Bruins had a great team. Bryan Trottier, most points season by a rookie. Gary Unger, most consecutive games lifetime. And Reggie Leach scored the most goals in a playoff series in the playoffs with 19. He was the Conn Smythe winner, even though Montreal won the Stanley Cup, but most of his goals were scored in the quarterfinals and semifinals. So kind of not fair that way. So it's definitely an interesting set. Steve Durbano was the wild man of the WHA. See a lot of his clips in fights. Interesting guy. Style was pretty good, but you still get a lot of these behind the blue screen or up against the wall photos. There's Dennis Maruk's rookie card. Nelson Payet had the most goals for our Capitals for 26, and then gets traded to the Rockies. Some cool action poses with Tony Esposito. Gotta like that one. So it's interesting times because you still have the Atlanta Flames. They have the Oakland Seals still in their jerseys over here. Chicago, I don't know what they were doing there with that one. Still have the Red Wings. You still have the Kansas City Scouts in their team thing before. So it's a unique set, let's put it that way. Dave Schultz, after the season, got traded to the Kings. After the season, the Flyers kind of blew up their roster. They got rid of Schultz, they got rid of Ed Van Imp, and a couple other guys. Lafleur was on a tear with his second straight 50-goal season. Reggie Leach led the league with 61 goals that year. Henry Bucha, Scouts, their away jerseys. Bobby Orr goes there. I missed it, 115. Almost forgot to put him in. Trotty goes here, 115. They did something interesting. They had the top scoring line, so you have the French connection with Rick Martin, Perron, and Reen Robert. The LCB line, the Liquor Control Board line, Bill Barber, Bobby Clark, and Reggie Leach. Then you had the Long Island Lightning Company with Clark Gillies, Brian Trotty, and Billy Harris. Bossy would replace Billy Harris at the right wing, and Billy Harris would get traded in 1980 along with Dave Lewis to the LA Kings for Butch Goring, who was considered the missing piece of that dynasty. Though Billy Harris was a pretty good player in his own right. Top checking line was the Bob Gainey, Doug Jarvis, and Jimmy Roberts. The Bicentennial line. Top scoring line of Lowell McDonald, Sil Abs, and Jean Pronovost. So a lot of old names in here, that's for sure. Glenn Rush was a second-team All-Star. Gary Dornhofer became a... Need to get a new one of those. So Montreal won the Cup, sweeping the Flyers in 4. Even though Reggie Leach won the Conn Smythe for some reason. Pat Quinn is in this set too, as a player for the Atlanta Flames. Cowboy Bill Flatt. Lanny McDonald. Dave Tiger Williams paid $15 for his rookie card. You have the team leaders. Let's grab the... And that is it. That is the entire set. I used to have this set as a kid, but then my parents got rid of all the cards. But anyway, that's our trip through the 76-77 O-PEE-CHEE set. I love looking at all the old pictures and all the names, and especially the era when teams were moving around a lot. I wish they bring back the Atlanta Flames and the Cleveland Barons. The Kansas City Scouts too. It'd be cool. Cool to see. But anyway, any hockey cards enthusiasts out there, let me know what you guys have in your collection. And I'm going to go on to the next set. Until next time, this has been Hockey Night in Belmont. I am out of here.